Well, hi everyone. Welcome to the New England Racing Show, Manchester, New Hampshire, Channel 23. Also on YouTube, and like us on Facebook. You'll get the show on your Facebook page every week. Well, a week ago, my two sons, PJ and Jake, and I went down to Charlotte, North Carolina for the NASCAR Whelen All-American Series banquet, which honored all the track champions in the United States, state champions also, United States and Canada. And Jake was a track champ at least, so we got to go down there thanks to him. And it was really a nice banquet, but I don't want to talk about that so much as the tour we got at Stewart-Haas Racing. They invited all the crew chiefs of the winning cars to come down, and you're allowed to bring one guest. So PJ says, well, I'll take Jake and you can sit out in the parking lot. And I says, no, somehow I'm going to sneak in there. And from the hotel, the bus showed up and I just jumped in. So, yeah, we cheated. We all the NEMA people that we race against, every time we'd win, they'd say they're a bunch of cheaters. So I guess they're right. I'll have to admit it on camera that we did cheat that one day. So anyway, we got there, and you look at this building, Stewart-Haas's. It's just this two big buildings next to each other. One is for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, and the other one, it says F1. And then I guess not in 15, but in 16, they're going to have an F1 car. So that place we didn't go into, because it's not done yet. They use some of it for the NASCAR stuff. But you're looking at this place. It's like looking at a presidential palace in Dubai or something. It's pretty obvious that money doesn't really mean much to them like it does to you or I here. But it was really, this place was just fantastic. So we go in the front where if the visitors come in, they get to see this area with a couple of cars on display. And the big open shop has glass in front of it, and you can just stand there and watch the guys, work on cars, whatever they're doing. But they took us in another room. It was Mobil One, I guess, who was sponsoring it, Mobil One Racing Oil. And they gave us an introductory speech. There was about 64 people there. So they split us up into two groups. And we each had someone guiding us around, a tour guide. And our tour guide was a former baseball player for Wake Forest, a young man. He said he blew out his shoulder, so now he works there, and he's the left front tire changer on Danica's pit crew. And he explained to us how they do 2 hours a day of practice on pit stops. And their crews are all athletes, like him and other baseball and football players. He actually works in the shop, but most of them just come out on race day. They fly him out to the race, 5:30 in the morning, whatever. And then after the race, they fly him back, and that's just their job as a pit crew. Makes the old days where Wendell Scott used to have to get out and change his own tires back in the 60s. And I'm thinking maybe that's not a bad idea. Add another little thing to the Sprint Cup. Make them get out and wash their own windshields like I used to do when I worked at a gas station back in the 60s. Anyway, no cameras were allowed. They said if you take out your cell phone, goodbye. So not that we saw any real secrets, but, nothing that I could relay to anybody. It's just amazing, though, to see a behind-the-scenes tour. Now, they get their engines from Hendricks Motorsports, so there was no engine shop per se. We asked them about they're lowering the horsepower. They're doing it by putting a tapered carb carburetor spacer between the carburetor and the manifold, and that's going to take away about 75 horsepower versus the restrictor plates that they use at Daytona and Talladega. Those take away 400 horsepower from 800. Cuts it right in half. He said that just kills the engine. And we were looking at the engine they had on display, and, you know, the heads are different. The exhaust, the headers come out evenly spaced. So I asked him about that, and he said, no, it's a small block Chevy base, the block, with custom heads and a high-rise manifold with the carburetor. I don't know how big it is, but probably about 1,000 cc's. CFM, I'm sorry. So anyway, we went into the first part we went into was the body shop, one of the rooms off to the side. And there was a gentleman there. He had a hood upside down, and he had some block that about this big, and he was fitting, just getting the right dimension on the hood. They stamp them themselves and everything. And that's all this guy does is the hoods. They have another guy that does the roofs. And they just put everything together, and then on the other side of the room, I say room, it's probably, I don't know, 5,000 square feet. And they have, you know, if you go into not a body shop, but a mechanical shop, they'll have a full body lift with the sides and the bar across the top. And they hang the templates from there. So they get the car underneath, the template comes down, and they measure everything. And they have guys, if something's off a little bit, they have to use some Bondo to get it right. And you can't use, they weigh the car before you do the Bondo, they weigh it after. They want you to use 5 pounds of Bondo maximum. If you use 10, you got to do it over. Just amazing. And the templates, I think they're about $85,000 each, I think he said, and they have 4 of them. So if NASCAR changes the body style from one year to the next, they got to buy all new templates. And that's just another expense, another $380,000 or whatever, $340,000. Then we went to the computer shop, machine shop, all computerized machines, because Haas, that's his forte, is machine shop. Now my son works in a CNC machine shop, and he was just amazed. They have 2 lathes, all computerized, and they make special parts there for their cars, because everyone's trying to get an advantage. So they may make a part that goes inside the shock to help the valving or something. But he says it doesn't stay secret very long, because if NASCAR, I mean, they really inspect the cars. They'll take the shocks apart, and if they find something in there that they have to approve it ahead of time. If they find something in there that no one else is using, well, they'll take the whole shock apart and lay it on the table, and everyone else is invited to come in, all the other teams, look at the parts, so they see your secret part that worked for that one race, and the next race everyone has that, if it worked. If you make a part and didn't get it approved ahead of time, you face a fine or suspension or whatever if the part works, or even if it doesn't work. I've seen them fine people. So then we went to they took us on a tour through their haulers. And each car, there's 4. There's Kurt Busch, Danica, Tony, and Kevin Harvick. So I guess the car goes up on top, and then the first level you walk through this narrow walkway, and on each side they have special drawers. The trailers are made by Featherlight, and you'll have a spring section, you know, made to hold all the springs, shocks, everything. And Danica had a dressing room. It said rock star or something on it. Being a female, she needed her own dressing room. So they took us through her hauler, and it's just amazing. And then I didn't ask them how much the haulers cost. I imagine it's like $500,000 a piece. Then they have the trucks that haul it. Then we saw other haulers on the other side. We said, "What are those?" He goes, "Oh, that's when we go practice. Each car has another hauler, and that hauler has all the same parts that the first hauler has. And that way, when we go practice, we can make the most use of our time." So the truck driver that hauls the hauler, say they're out there practicing, and the driver radios back, loose in, tight in the middle, loose out. Crew chief makes a decision what changes they want to make. He radios the driver or tells the driver, "Go get this and that and that." And the driver goes in the trailer, the hauler, gets all that stuff, brings it to the pit, so that when the driver comes in, everything is there to make the changes so that they can make the most use of their limited time that they have to practice. And he told how they're cutting out a lot of practicing at private tracks this winter to try to cut costs, and even the field with us, the low buck teams. And then we went in the main shop where, as a visitor, you can see they'll have like 15 cars lined up on the left, 15 on the right, and way towards the back on the right side, they had a bunch of cars in various stages. And we're like, "Well, what are these?" And he said, "These are all cars that had crashed, and they repair them." So, "Well, what are you going to do with these?" "Well, I don't know. Just let them sit around. Maybe sell them to an ARCA team or something. I don't know." So I'm like, boy, they fix them and they just sit there. The bodies with the frames, no engines in them. And it's just amazing to see this. They had the paint shop. They were powder coating the pit carts, powder coating the engine hoists. Most of the people that worked there, they had a skeleton crew on, because a lot of them they sent home for a couple of weeks vacation, and they'll come right back after New Year's and start going down to Daytona to test in the middle of January. And then they had, they don't actually paint most of these cars. They're wrapped in vinyl. So they were showing us the guys that were wrapping them, and they used the little plastic putty knives to get all the bubbles out. And it was just amazing how everything is so specialized. Then we saw the wind tunnel. Haas has a wind tunnel there, and it goes up to, I think, 170 miles an hour. And I believe there may be another team or two that has a wind tunnel, but they're pretty much one of the only ones that have one. And they rent it out for $5,000 an hour to other teams, to dragsters, funny cars, whatever. And they had one car in there, and they'll check every section of the body and make real subtle changes that the template doesn't pick up, to see if they can gain any type of advantage for the super speedways, or even the 1.5 mile tracks. And then they had Kevin Harvick's winning car from Homestead on display. Thing was all not banged up, but I mean, just you could tell it had been through a race. The front was all like sand pitted and everything. And they explained to us one of the little tricks that they do. The jackman, when he jacks up the side of the car, he reaches under, and the bottom under the door, the rocker panel, he'll just be in front of the rear tire, he'll pull it out, because you notice the rocker panels, they'll flare out right in front of the back tire. Like, what's that idea for? He goes, "Well, you saw how Brad Keselowski, I think the second to last race or whatever, was trying to get through an opening, and Jeff Gordon was on the outside and came down, and they touched, and then Jeff Gordon got his tire cut." He says, "This is how the tire gets cut." He says, "The rocker panel, you pull it out, and when Jeff Gordon got next to him, it cut his tire down. But he says NASCAR doesn't like that stuff, so they're putting a stop to that now because everyone was doing that and cutting each other's tires down. I says, geez, that's a trick we'll have to remember. But we race an open wheel, so it wouldn't apply. But maybe we can do something on the Nerf bars. I'm not sure. Geez, there was so much. I couldn't remember everything that they did. But just the number of cars that they have. Then they bring the car out to that main area after the body's on. And they're painted gray. And they'll either work on it, do some work on it there, or sometimes it's all lettered and everything. They had one that was Bass Pro Shops. So it's like all camouflage wrapped. The whole car was wrapped and lettered and everything. And it was just beautiful to see these different color schemes that they have. And they'll change them from week to week depending if they have a limited sponsorship from, you'll see Home Depot for a while, Lowe's, and then it changes. So, it keeps everybody busy, but to see the amount of money that's spent in here, it's just amazing. I'm sure, we don't spend that much money, but just to see their shop, I want to go home and clean my garage and epoxy the floor and try to make it look like that a little bit, but everything was immaculate. They had just stacks and stacks of tires, shocks, everything that you could think of. And then Mobile One brought us in the other room, and we had a buffet lunch that was just fantastic. We were treated like kings there. And the whole 2 days that we were down there, the NASCAR banquet was the same thing. And it's, different than going to some tracks and you have officials yelling at you and bossing you around. And you say, geez, why do I even do this? But you go there and it's just a completely different experience. So that was on Thursday morning. We went there. So it's funny, we got there and that was the first thing we did. And that was a high point of our 3 days there. 2 days. And then we went to the NASCAR banquet Friday night, and that was really well done. Dr. Dick Berggren and Mike Joy were the masters of ceremonies, one on each side of the stage, introducing people. They had Collective Soul there, a couple of leaders from that group doing acoustics. And the best part was when they did the national champions. They had third place was Keith Rocco from Waterford. So he got up there, and second place was Pulliam. He finished first last year. And first place was Andrew Anders. And there was a lot of controversy with him because he had a bunch of cars to fill out the field, and they were doing starting parks to give him more points. So Keith just ripped into him in a really sarcastic way, saying how some people do anything to win. And he says, I want to congratulate the 36 car. I think that was his number, Andrews. The 36X, the 36XX, and all the other ones. And then we finished his speech. He goes, and if anyone here has a little too much to drink, you can call Anders Starting Park Service. It was really funny. Keith just laid it out, and Anders didn't know what to say when he got up there. So it was a fun time. But anyway, that was our experience down there in Charlotte. So this being our Christmas week show, we just wanted to show you a little video. It's called Barrington Bunny, and I hope you like it. It kind of takes you away from all the hustle and bustle here of buying gifts and all this other stuff, and kind of tells you the true meaning of Christmas. So I hope you enjoy it.
Once upon a time, in a large forest, there lived a very furry bunny. He had one lop ear, a tiny black nose, and unusually shiny eyes. His name was Barrington. In a way, winter is fun for bunnies. After all, it gives them an opportunity to hop in the snow and then turn around to see where they have hopped. So, in a way, winter was fun for Barrington. But in another way, winter made Barrington sad. For you see, winter marked the time when all of the animal families got together in their cozy homes to celebrate Christmas. He could hop, and he was very furry, but as far as Barrington knew, he was the only bunny in the forest.
Bunnies can hop, and they're very warm, too, because of how furry they are.
But he didn't really know whether or not this was true of all bunnies, since he had never met another bunny. When it got too dark to see the tracks he was making, Barrington made up his mind to go home. On his way, however, he passed a large oak tree. High in the branches, there was a great deal of excited chattering going on. Barrington looked up. It was a squirrel family.
Hello up there.
What a marvelous
Hello down
time
there.
they seemed to
Having
be
a
having.
Christmas party?
Oh, yes, it's Christmas Eve. Everybody's having a Christmas party.
May I come to your party?
Are you a squirrel?
No,
What are you then?
a bunny.
A bunny?
Yes,
Well, how can you come to the party if you're a bunny? Bunnies can't climb trees.
that's true, but I can hop, and I'm very furry and warm.
We're sorry. We don't know anything about hopping and being furry. But we do know that in order to come to our house, you have to be able to climb trees.
Oh, well, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
And the unfortunate bunny hopped off toward his tiny house. It was beginning to snow when Barrington reached the river. Near the river bank was a wonderfully constructed house of sticks and mud. Inside there was singing.
Oh, it's the beavers. Maybe they'll let me come to their party. Hello,
Who's out there?
Barrington Bunny.
Hello, Barrington.
May I come to your party?
I suppose so. Do you know how to swim?
No, but I can hop, and I'm very furry and warm.
Well, I'm sorry I don't know anything about hopping and being furry, but I do know that in order to come to our house, you have to be able to swim.
Oh, well, I suppose that's true. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas!
Even being as furry as he was, Barrington was beginning to get cold, and the snow was falling so hard that his tiny bunny eyes could scarcely see what was ahead of him. He was almost home, however, when he heard the excited squeaking of field mice beneath the ground.
Oh, it's a party. Hello, field mice. This is Barrington Bunny. May I come to your party?
But the wind was howling so loudly and Barrington was sobbing so much that no one heard him.
Bunnies aren't good to anyone. What good is it to be furry and to be able to hop if you don't have any family on Christmas Eve?
Suddenly, Barrington was aware that he was not alone. To his surprise, he saw a great silver wolf. The wolf was large and strong, and his eyes flashed fire. He was the most beautiful animal Barrington had ever seen.
Barrington, why are you sitting in the snow?
Because it's Christmas Eve, and I don't have a family, and bunnies aren't good to anyone.
Bunnies are too good. Bunnies can hop, and they are very warm.
Oh, what good is that?
It is very good indeed, because it is a gift that bunnies are given. A free gift with no strings attached. And any gift that is given to anyone is given for a reason. Someday you'll see why it is good to hop and be warm and furry.
But it's Christmas, and I'm all alone. I don't have any family at all.
Of course you do. All of the animals in the forest are your family.
All of the animals in the forest are my family. Oh, it's good to be a bunny. Bunnies can hop. That's a gift. A gift. A free gift.
On into the night, Barrington worked. First, he found the best stick that he could. That was difficult because of the snow. Then hop, hop, hippity hop, to the beaver's house. He left the stick just outside the door. Then Barrington dug and dug. Soon he had gathered together enough dead leaves and grass to make the squirrel's nest warmer. He laid the grass and leaves just under the large oak tree. It was late when Barrington finally started home, and what made things worse was that he knew a blizzard was beginning. Soon, poor Barrington was lost.
Brrr. It certainly is cold. It's a good thing I'm so furry. But if I don't find my way home pretty soon, even I might freeze.
Squeak, squeak.
Hello, little mouse. Oh, don't cry. I'll be right there.
I'm lost. I'll never find my way home. And I know I'm going to freeze.
No, you won't freeze. I'm a bunny, and bunnies are very furry and warm. Now you stay right where you are, and I'll cover you up.
Barrington lay on top of the little mouse and hugged him tight. The tiny little fellow felt himself surrounded by warm fur. He cried for a while, but soon, snug and warm, he fell asleep. Barrington had only two thoughts that long, cold night.
It's so good to be a bunny. Bunnies are very furry and warm.
And then, when he felt the heart of the tiny mouse beneath him beating regularly, he thought,
All of the animals in the forest are my family.
Next morning, the field mice found their little boy asleep in the snow, warm and snug beneath the furry carcass of a dead bunny. Their relief and excitement was so great that they didn't even think to question where the bunny had come from. And as for the beavers and the squirrels, they still wonder which member of their family left the little gifts for them that Christmas Eve. And no one anywhere in the forest noticed the great silver wolf who came to stand beside that brown, lop-eared carcass. But the wolf did come and stood there without moving or saying a word all Christmas Day until it was night, and then he disappeared into the forest.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the little story. It's my favorite Christmas story. And we won't... Next week, the TV station is closed for vacation, Christmas vacation. But we'll be back right after New Year's. And we'll preview some of the shows that are upcoming, car shows, to get you ready for the upcoming season, which I hope goes by as fast as the summer did, because it just flew by, and hopefully the end of March isn't too far away. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you all next week, and Merry Christmas.